It has been a while since I've done one of these. Honestly, I'm not really sure why. Trying to think. I think the last one I did was a review somewhere in quarter one. And end of quarter one, I was actually in Brazil. And yeah, I'm just finishing quarter two. So I guess I just kind of missed it. But anyways, yeah, hope you guys are all doing well. I just thought it'd be nice to while I've had a day off and I've been getting hyped up, excited, planning for uh quarter three. Thought it'd just be a nice time to check in and kind of let y'all know how things are going. So let's talk about how much language learning I did not do this past year so far. So yeah, it's been a little rough. I started out with very strong, very high hopes for the beginning of this year, and that quickly faded away after, like, the first couple of weeks. So originally what I was planning on doing is having one language, which I would be focusing on, and I'll just actually here, let me share this. This is pretty much what I decided on. I'm gonna actually flip myself this way so you can see this a bit better. So I had been planning originally on basically having Portuguese. Okay, yeah, you can see it. Portuguese as my year-long language learning focus. I planned on having three dabble, um, kind of or three secondary focus languages. So I'd already known for the rest of quarter one because it's going to Brazil in the end of quarter one. I already knew that I didn't want to have a secondary language during Q1. So quarter two, I was going to focus on French. Quarter three, I was going to focus on German, and then quarter four, I have updated this a little bit, but I was kind of going back and forth between Russian and Turkish. And then I was going to be dabbling every 2 months in a new language, as you can see over here. So Norwegian for January, February, um, Afrikaans for March and April, Croatian for, I think I had it differently, Indonesian for May and June, uh, Icelandic for July and August, Croatian for September, October, and then either Hungarian or Mandarin for November, December. So I have updated this a little bit, so we're going to get into that in a minute. But basically, yes, things have changed. Are we surprised? This seems to always be the way it is with me. Um, but I will say, and we'll get back to this in a little bit. So I'm just going to hide that for right now. Um, Let me do it like this. There you go. I will say I'm actually happy with what I did get done this year. So let me reiterate. The first 2 weeks of January, I was learning Norwegian and Portuguese, and I was actually doing quite a fair amount of language learning. I think I found out. Let me check here. I had it up on Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter, you will know I recently have just been getting back on Twitter. I really haven't done much as in keeping track of my languages for a while. I had to go back and basically everything I didn't have, just plug in my italki lessons because I know I haven't really done a lot of learning for the last excuse me, the last quarters. But yeah, the first quarter I studied for Q1, I did 73 and 3/4, so almost 74 hours of language learning, which, considering almost all those hours came from January, that's actually pretty impressive, and I'm pretty proud of myself. The first, like, 3, 4 weeks were really great, and then it just went downhill from there, guys. It went downhill. I did roughly 67 and a half weeks, or sorry, not weeks, 67 and a half hours of Brazilian Portuguese, and then I did about 6.5 hours of Norse or Norwegian, and it was great. Yeah, about fifty of those hours were done in January. So 2/3 of all that studying was done in the first month. So congratulations to me, I guess. I don't know. You know, beginning of the year, very hyped up, motivated. So great job. Didn't work out so much well for the rest. Anyways, yeah, basically 2 weeks into January, I just realized, hey, I'm going to Brazil in like 2 months. I'm leaving in just about 2 months, and my Portuguese was still not super great in the sense that I was definitely not comfortable with the level I was at, considering I was gonna be going for 2 weeks. I wanted to be able to feel comfortable having conversations with people, and I was definitely not there. I was still very much A1, maybe in mid to early A1. Like, I would have lessons with my tutor. I was not comfortable speaking other words than the very basics. Oi, tudo bem? Tudo bem com vocês? Like, I don't know, just introductory kind of stuff. And that was kind of concerning for me. Listening comprehension was horrid. Horrid, horrid, horrid. I was so uncomfortable with listening to Portuguese. I just couldn't understand whenever my tutor would talk at a decent speed. I had no idea what was being said. And I was getting a little concerned. Um, I wanted to be able to put in enough time. So we started doing almost originally it was supposed to be daily lessons. It kind of went to at least about 2 to 3 times a week, is kind of what I typically actually attended. We got it pretty and just trying to, like, listen to music, um, deal I don't know, just, like, get intake in, watch movies in Portuguese, and I was also just working a lot, pretty tired, to be honest. I was going through I was going through a really rough patch mentally before I left, for Brazil at the middle-ish end of March. So, there's just a lot going on. I was very confused, with mm, different relationships, stress at work, stress with finances. I was just very burnt out at that point, which I didn't realize until I was in Brazil. But I was definitely burnt out. So I left, and I can say it was so cool, at the end of quarter one to go to Brazil after I'd say, I even though I'd been learning the language since mid-September, roughly 6.5, 7 months, I really had about a solid 3 months where I was really focused in on Portuguese and really learning it. And I'm very happy to say that I did really well. Like, the first couple days were definitely a challenge, just going and hearing Portuguese a lot. And so uh, when I was there, I stayed with a friend. So a friend of mine had come to Canada, to my city, to learn English for, I guess, 5, 6 months. And so, yeah, I went to visit him and his family in Brazil because why not? Like, why not? So it was really great. So it was definitely very convenient that my friend was there and was able to translate for me. And poor guy did a lot of translating. So I was very proud of him. I think he was a little unsure of his English level from not really using English after being gone for like 5 months, but he did really well. As someone who teaches English, I was very proud of him. So that was great to see that his English was still, he's someone that tends to doubt himself. And I think we all do when we're learning a language. It's very easy for most of us to just be like, oh, my Portuguese isn't so good. My English isn't so good. My French, my whatever language I'm learning. And so it was really exciting just to see that how well his English was doing considering he hadn't used it in, like or barely used it in 5 months. So that was cool. It was also just exciting for me that, even though obviously my friend was there, it definitely helps out a lot with translating, especially the first couple days. At some point, there was like a couple days where my friend had to go into São Paulo to work because the main place that we were staying was at his parents' house in the countryside, which is about an hour outside of São Paulo. And I survived 2 days without a translator. It was just me and his mom and his stepdad for 2 days, and, like, the conversations were definitely at times very interesting. It was, a little limited, but I'm proud to say that I actually had conversations. I could actually understand, obviously not everything, but I could understand enough to know what was being said. I could have conversations, with people without my friend being there to translate for me. So that was really, I think, just to see like, wow, I've spent so much time learning a language and I can actually use it. I did better than I thought I was going to do. And it was so weird because even like a couple days before my trip, I was really struggling audibly, like with listening, my listening skills. And just to see how easily and how quickly I was able to adjust. And I don't know if it was just the thrill of being there, but it was so cool and so exciting to see like, "Oh my goodness, like, I can follow along in a conversation. I can have a conversation with people," and, sometimes I need people to slow down or whatever, but still, um, so yeah, that was really cool. Uh, I think I was also pretty proud of myself for the days that on Sundays when we were at church and just sitting and listening to a sermon for 1 to 2 hours and realizing like, "Oh, obviously I'm not understanding everything." And, I mean, for me, one of the nice things, for me as a Christian is, when you're going to church in a different language or where a different language is spoken, you still like once you know like the passage, once you know what part of the Bible is being preached on, if you know that passage or what's being talked about that passage in English, then it's amazing because you're able to be like, okay, we're reading this part, we're talking about this part of the Bible. I know what this is. I'm very familiar with this part. So I know when you're reading through different parts, I know what's being said because I know the English of it. So that definitely helps that when I'm listening, I know what's being said in English and it's easier for me to pick out, okay, this is what we're talking about. Oh, this word must be referring to this, or this section, what he's saying here is referring to this section. So it was actually kind of cool just how helpful that was. I hadn't really thought of it in that way before. But yeah, it was very convenient. But yeah, I was there for Easter Sunday. So Easter Sunday, we were at church in the morning and then we were at church again in the night and just having lots of conversations with people at the church. And there was a bunch of Portuguese people, Brazilian Portuguese people at church that were like so nice and friendly and welcoming and trying to practice their English with me, having conversations. That was very sweet, very thoughtful of them. I was trying to practice a little bit of Portuguese, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It was great. It was just so nice how sweet everybody was and very welcoming. I got an opportunity to sing with people at the church on Easter Sunday in Portuguese, which was crazy. They were all just like, "Oh, like, do you want to sing with us?" I was like, "Sure." So we had a practice run, because my friend was playing guitar, so we the guitar for the youth group. So I went with them, and they're like, "Oh, like, do you want to like come and sing with us?" I was like, "Well, sure, I can try." They're like, "Yeah, you could just try." And then so we did the practice and they're like, "Oh yeah, you can sing with us tomorrow in church." Like, that's totally fine. I was like, "Okay, I guess I did well enough." Like, I don't know, the fact I was able to like I knew the song in English, but like obviously I've never sang the song in Portuguese before. So just being able to kind of read the words and pronounce them decently okay, that, I mean, I can imagine, they were nice, but I can't imagine if my pronunciation was horrible and my singing was really off that they would have let me sing. So it was like nice to realize like, hey, I can actually do this. And it was so sweet in church when we were singing and people sitting in front of us after the service, they turned around, they're like, "Oh, you're singing so nice." And I'm just like, ah, yes. Like I'm like so concerned while I'm singing that I'm like not like mispronouncing everything. So it was really nice, for that. A lot of the people that I met, my friends, family, and his friends and stuff were just like very sweet. Like I could actually have conversations with them in Portuguese, like obviously slow, but I could understand a decent amount, like talking to his mom or his grandparents or his dad, his stepdad, different friends, and just having some basic conversations in Portuguese. It was kind of funny because after a while, after like the first week, my friend just kind of slowly started speaking less English around me and just started like if we'd be in the car with his mom and his stepdad and him and I, they'd just be speaking in Portuguese. And at one point, they're just like planning out what we're gonna do for the rest of my time there, completely in Portuguese. And I'm just like, all right. So they're like, like arguing about like, "Oh, well, like, we should be doing this on this day because this day then we can do this, and it's gonna be raining on that day and this," and I'm just following around. I'm like, "Oh my word, I'm actually understanding like 70 to 80% of what they're talking about." And it was just really cool to see after especially after I've been there for like I was there for 2 weeks, but I was feeling so comfortable and confident in the language, which was amazing. And even when I came back, to Canada and I had my lesson when I came back, and I talked in straight Portuguese with my tutor for, like, a half hour to maybe a bit more, and that was, like, the first time I'd had that much just on and on and on conversation, so that was really good. Obviously, since I've been back for the last 2.5 months, I've definitely been losing some of my Portuguese, but that's to be expected. Um, I'm obviously not hearing Portuguese every day. I'm not having constant communication. I'm not living with people who speak Portuguese. So that makes a big difference. But it was really cool to see that with, 3 months of serious studying, I could actually have decent conversations with people. I could actually get to know people. I could actually get by. And that was really encouraging. So definitely hyped me up. Definitely need to practice. I definitely realized I would love to learn more Portuguese, and I do want to spend some time living in Brazil. Um, I'm not sure if that's indefinite. Um, it's hard for me to decide something like that at this point in my life, especially when I can barely stick to a language plan for 3 months in a row. I, kind of doubt my abilities to decide my future for the next 20 years of my life. But yeah, yeah. Anyways, it was just so cool. There's so much I'd love to keep talking on about Brazil. I can blabber on and on about this. Not gonna do that now. Maybe later, another time I'll get some pictures together and I can kind of go if this is something that you guys are interested in that you'd like to see, I can share some pictures of my time in Brazil and just some of the things I saw, the food I ate, all this kind of stuff. If you guys are interested, let me know in the comments below. I can definitely put that together if you would like. All right. Now that we're at 19 and a half minutes, we should keep going on with this. So yeah, all that to say, I guess that was the summary of Q1. That was Q1's review. So yeah, basically, I mostly just studied Portuguese, and then I went to Brazil. It was great. And then I came back. And then I got really busy with work, and there was some things that just, oh no, I was a bit unmotivated. I was going through some difficulty emotionally before I left. And while when I was there, there's definitely a lot that I worked on internally. There's still difficult things that were difficult that I had to deal with. And that just kind of took up a lot of my energy. Um, I also just kind of realized there's a lot of things I have to work on in my own personal life. While I'm not necessarily unhealthy, I'm not sickly in that sense. I'm definitely haven't taken as good care of just, my health and my body in general as I should be. So, really Q2, April to June has been a lot more learning to develop better habits, getting into meal prepping and, make eating better food, getting a bit better handle on my finances, coming up with some financial plans. If you're watching this on YouTube, no, you wouldn't. I did something because it's a different channel. I started doing like cash flow budgeting, so just mm, using cash to pay for a lot of my miscellaneous things to help me keep better track of that. I haven't done it in the last couple weeks, so, but just getting into a better habit of exercising again, running, going to the gym a bit, trying to, sorry, develop better spiritual health, reading my Bible more, getting more involved in my church, trying to get in touch with people in general. Just really trying to slowly develop better life plans. I can also say in the past, how long? Month-ish? Uh, I'm horrible at drinking water. When I tell you I've gone 5 days without drinking water. That is not an exaggeration. So, speaking of which, water break. I have been really, really bad with that. I don't know. I've just, ever since I was a kid, I hated drinking water. And I just don't think about it unless I have a water bottle or water staring at me in my face. So, anyways, I'm proud to say that for the past month, I've had water every single day. It may have only been a cup of water some days, but like I said, when I'm the person that will easily go 3, 4, 5 days and realize I have not had water, like I may have had iced tea or coffee, but no water. Um, yeah, that's kind of, I'm kind of proud of myself for doing that basic thing that should be a given, but yeah. So this quarter has really been a lot more about slowly taking my time and slowly starting to develop good habits. So I can say I've pretty much gotten to the habit of drinking water every day at this point. I have pretty much gotten into the habit of doing language learning throughout the week, not necessarily every day. But I haven't had like a month go by and not touch a language. So that's been really good. I've definitely had some weeks where I just didn't get around to lessons because I was just really burnt out and tired. But I've generally had at least a couple lessons every week or did a little bit of language learning every week. So that's good. And again, I've slowly started getting into doing some sort of activity or even like today. Today was my day off, and honestly, the last couple days have been really rough, pretty bad mentally for me. Um, but today I just went on one of the hills here in the city, and there's a big hill in my city where everybody just basically in the summertime, people just like you'll see like a bunch of people just sunbathing or sitting on the hill and eating food. So it's kind of in the center of the city, which is really nice. So yeah, I basically just sat on this hill and for like an hour or two watched a movie, listened to a podcast, and just chilled and just was outside and got some vitamin D, and it definitely boosted my mental health. I definitely felt better a little bit just getting some sun in. So just even doing things like that. I've had a couple days where, I've pretty much done nothing all day until I've gone to work, and that's never a good thing for me. I definitely have realized that, and even now as I'm saying this, it's like it's past midnight now. But the days that I get up and I go, even if it's for a quick run, like even if it's not a full half hour, even if it's just 15 minutes, I get home, take a shower, eat something, do some language learning before I go to work. That makes me feel a million times better and just more productive. Like once I've got my morning right, then I feel a lot better. And so yeah, just doing different things like that is definitely good for me, and I need to be doing that. So, yeah, this quarter was really about slowly learning to make good habits that aren't gonna just disappear after a month or 2, which I'm very notorious for. So anyways, now we are here. How much language learning did we get done last quarter? Not very much. Not very much at all. But it's okay. Some seasons are like that. I had to learn to, you know, not just like do one thing, slowly put different things in my life. And I am trying to schedule it. I'm just looking up here. I put a typical schedule that I'd like to follow. Um, but yeah, just kind of seeing, I have time to take care of my spiritual health. I have time to take care of my physical health. I have time to take care of my mental health. I have time to read. I have time to, learn languages, spend time with people, have some time to just kind of do whatever I need to do, be more spontaneous. So just having, excuse me, just being able to split up my life in a way that I'm able to do different types of things and not just only do one type of thing. So, yeah, a variety. That's what I'm trying to learn. Anyways, that is where I am at. And let's talk about next. Now that we talk about how little language learning we're doing, let's talk about next quarter and how much language learning I want to do, which should be interesting. Um, so, oops, I'm in the wrong, push the wrong button here. Let me do it. Whoa! Sorry. Apparently, I don't know what I'm doing right now. Can you even see my mouse? Oh yeah, you can see it. Yay! My brain's gone, guys. Like I said, it's late. So I have some language learning. Okay, you like that? There you go. So yeah, going back to this. We have updated this a little bit. So I've decided for Q4 I want to do Russian. I really enjoyed Russian, and I know everything that's gone on, this past year and a half, 2 years, with the war between Russia and Ukraine. I know it's a sensitive topic, and I know obviously there's a lot of people that don't have good feelings toward Russians, and I want to be sensitive of that. But at the same time, you know, and I don't want to start a big conversation, debate, whatever on this. But just at the end of the day, I keep languages separate from the cultures that I'm learning. Just because 'cause I'm learning a language from a place doesn't mean I uphold the politics of that place, doesn't mean I agree with, the way the country has handled things or that I'm siding on with that country. in a side of war. And I hope that, the language learning community is able to see that, and I think, like there's a lot of the people that I tend to have that I've had, little bits of interaction with on Twitter, and the people that I tend to follow at least on YouTube and Twitter for the language learning, understand this, and I appreciate that. But yeah, because I mean, there's so many reasons to learn a language between the music, just the sound of a language. One of the things I realized with Portuguese, I just love the sound of the language. Like, man, to me, it is like one of the most beautiful sounding languages. Like, I just realized, like, for me as a Christian, like, singing worship songs in Portuguese is a whole other level of worship. Like, it's a whole other level. It's just, like, so much more intimate to me, and I think it's because I don't know. I don't know why. I don't actually know why it is. It's just it's so much more intimate for me and personal. And maybe it's because I have to really think about what I'm singing, and the words, because not like a song that I've heard 100 times. So, I don't know. But yeah, so everyone has their different reasons, but I've decided I really do miss learning Russian. So, I want to learn Russian. So, I'm going to learn Russision. So yeah, but now I've also realized that basically this is the second half of the year. We're entering the second half. We're entering quarter 3, and I've, besides Portuguese, have pretty much not touched these languages outside of like 2 weeks of Norwegian. So, I'm going to be a crazy person. I'm going to attempt to still cover all these languages this year. How, you may ask? That is a wonderful question. Basically, what we're gonna do is Portuguese here, if you can see my mouse, that is still the year-round language. That's not changing. We're still learning Portuguese. French, instead of doing it for a quarter, we're gonna do it for 2 months. German for 2 months, Russian for 2 months. And then each of these, I've decided to call them my language projects. And these guys, these ones all here on the end, if you can see my mouse, these are going to be 1-month language projects. I'm going to probably hate myself. I'm probably not going to learn a lot in these languages, but that's okay. As you're going to see, basically the goal for like all the languages here is just to learn some simple phrases, just to learn basic greetings, just very basic stuff. Hello, how are you? My name is this. I do this because I work in a restaurant. I want to learn some food related, restaurant related terminology. I love just food in general. My favorite thing when I learn languages is to learn about anything that's like food restaurant related. And it works great because I work in a restaurant. So it's nice that the vocabulary that I enjoy learning the most has to do with has like goes along with my job. So that's really great. Also, can we take a moment and just appreciate this picture of me? This is right after I realized you can't really tell because my hair's not down, but this is my natural hair, I've realized. And I know we're going on a tangent here. This is my natural hair, guys. It is actually curly. I did not know this until like the middle of March when I was just about ready to chop my hair out because it's getting long. And then I watched videos on what to do if your hair's wavy and it's probably actually curly. And yeah, this is my hair. So kind of crazy, kind of cool. Also, can we talk about the beautiful tan I got when I was in Brazil? As you can tell right now, I'm not that tan anymore. I'm still tanned compared to what I was before. There's very distinctive marks from my outfits in Brazil where you can tell I'm still very much tanned. Um, but yes, the beautiful glowy sunlight has slowly disappeared, and I'm a little sad about that. But yes, anyways, this is the view from my family's apartment in São Paulo. This is when they talk about concrete jungles, like, I've never understand the terminology, what exactly that's supposed to mean, as much as when you, like, actually look around here, like, it's just towers of concrete everywhere. I was like, "Oh my word, that's insane." And it goes on for as far as you can see. It's so weird, but very cool. Anyways, enough about that. This is a picture from São Paulo. I updated my card so I can have my São Paulo picture. Okay, guys, it's good. Anyways, let's get on with this. So, Portuguese for the next 3 months. Where I'm like I'm somewhere at the A2 level for sure. Maybe not as much in my speaking. I've definitely lost some of my speaking since I've come back. Um, but definitely in like reading comprehension and stuff. But basically my goal is to get to like a B1 by the end of the next 3 months, which should be pretty easy. And just to get more comfortable with basic conversations, I can definitely was able to have basic conversations. Now I want to like develop those conversations. So now that I'm back and I'm not going to Brazil in a couple weeks, I'm just gonna do about 10ish italki lessons a month with my tutor. I want to work through half of my simile and my complete Brazilian Portuguese textbooks, especially the complete Portuguese. I haven't really touched it since I was in Brazil. But it is the textbooks that I liked the most. I like the assembly ones. I like that there's conversation, but I enjoy learning grammar. My brain is mathematical, and to me, learning grammar is like learning. To me, I see languages like math where there's a formula, and when you understand that this formula makes this type of sentence, then it's just you put in different numbers and you get the formula. So, I don't know. It's just the way my brain works. I like learning grammar. I find it helps me learn languages better when I understand why a sentence is structured this way or why things change the way they do. So, anyways, that's all good. So, we're going to go through that. I'm going to keep going through again. Hi. Short stories in Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese, and then go through some apps. I have really been liking Lingo Legends. Um, when I'm tired, it's not so great. I was doing a round of it today and my brain was just not there and I was messing up so much. It's a little bit like, oh man, what's that card game? There's the games where you have the cards and you put down different cards during your turns and it's like some might be like, "Oh, you get this." Dominion? I think that's the card game I'm thinking of. Dominion maybe. But yeah, it's a little bit like that where you have cards or it's almost like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Pokemon kind of like you have to bring cards and you fight against these monsters, but the way that you like, you know, you pick the card you want, but in order to actually get to use it, you have to answer questions on the language. So it will give you different phrases and you have to translate it, or it'll give you the English and you have to do the other language. So it's fun. I like it. It's kind of gamified, but you're also learning, and it's a fun gamified way. So really not sponsored, just really enjoy them. And then I also want to work on drops just for extra vocabulary. So those games are just more of like refreshing, reviewing vocabulary kind of situations. Most of my learning is obviously going to be coming from the textbooks, the italki lessons, get back and do a little bit more reading. Oh, I've also started reading through um The Alchemist. I read it in English after my tutor was telling me I had to read it, and I'm slowly starting to read it in Portuguese. It's a little bit more difficult though. So, but yeah, we're reading through that and then just listening to a lot of Portuguese music. So, just trying to have lots of different ways to get Portuguese in my life. But yeah, that's kind of that. All right, so French we're going to be studying for July and August. So, this pretty much is what I had for what I was originally supposed to do last quarter, which I didn't do. But just kind of basically review basic verb tenses if I can at least get the hang of past, present, and future, that would be great because I don't remember how to speak in the past in French, and I don't remember how to speak in the future in French, which is kind of a problem. So review the basic verb tense, listen to some Duolingo podcasts. I just find I like their podcasts. I find them interesting. I like how they talk about different places. I like how the French is from sometimes it's Canadian French, sometimes it's France French, sometimes it's French from somewhere in Africa or a different part of the world. So I do like that there's variety, and I just find their stories or the stories that they cover interesting. So it's cool for me. I like it. I do want to start reading articles. I'm gonna have to do that. I should probably get. Oh, I actually do have a French textbook. So I realized, or a French storybook, and I have like the short stories in French. So I should read through some of that and then just start watching a bit of news documentaries. Where I am in Canada, it shouldn't be too hard to find like Canadian broadcasting corporations, so like CBC's like news in French or something like that. So that's that. German, we're gonna start it in September and then October. So part in this quarter, part in the next one. So for the rest of this quarter, it's really just gonna be starting in September, just kind of reviewing basically where I was up to when I stopped studying German last year. So just have some basic conversations. All right, it is like 12:30 here. But yeah, review the stuff I've learned, go through my italki lesson material for my tutor. I miss my German tutor. He was really cool. I really like him. Once I get back, I don't know if I'm gonna take lessons. Maybe I'll do weekly lessons with him again. I'll have to see what my finances look like at this point. But I do miss my lessons with him. He was a really great German teacher. If you need a German teacher for my italki, I can hook you up. Go through that as well as have all my Lingoda files on my Notion, which I'm very happy about. So we're gonna go through that. Just kind of get some reviewing for that, and then I want to be reading through the short stories in German again. Listen to the coffee break German. I'm trying to add in like some sort of book, some sort of podcast, potentially textbooks, or like in this case here, going through the materials I did before, and then some apps. So something to read, something to listen to, a textbook and apps. I think that's kind of a good mix for me to have. Am I going to go through everything? No, which is why for most of these things, I haven't put like read this many stories. It's just like if I did some reading, some listening, preferably a little bit every week, but maybe that's not going to be realistic every week. So as long as I'm getting the reading, the listening, the speaking, you know, and the hearing, that will be good. Sorry. All right. I probably should be doing this late at night, but it's too late. We're this far into it. We're finishing this, guys. All right, let's go try to go through this quickly. Most of these are gonna be the same. These two were a second focus, as you can see. Where are we at? Over here. We have the main. This is focus two, focus two. And then we have projects. This is July's project is gonna be Norwegian. So pretty much just copy and pasted what I had from beginning of January. Go through short stories in Norwegian, start working through the complete Norwegian textbook. That one I did like. I was finding that was good. And then watch through show in Norwegian. I did watch through Ragnarok. I think I was listening to it in Norwegian and using English subtitles. And I did like that. I might go through it again. It was like a really good show. I liked it. And it was, it was from Norway, so it was like, I don't know. I don't want to pick a random like American show and put it in Norwegian. I'd rather find like a Norwegian TV show or series and watch it in the actual language. So yeah. So that's for July. On August, and I guess for all these ones, as you're gonna see here, the main idea that I want to have is just Again, like I was saying earlier, just learn to introduce myself, ask about others, and just very basic conversations. So, reaching a middle A1, this is really just for me to get into the language, try it out, see if it's a language that I'd like to invest more time in the future in. And yeah, just see like, do I love this language? Is it, and if not, then just being able to have very basic conversation with customers at the restaurant or just have a bit of an idea so that if I did decide in the future I want to go maybe travel that country, then at least I have a little bit of a starting place that I've already built up. So yeah. Afrikaans is gonna be for August. I need to find an easy Afrikaans podcast. If anyone knows of one, hit me out. Let me know in the comments below. As well as find some online or YouTube resources and then watch a show or series in Afrikaans. I couldn't find an app for Afrikaans. Like I really don't have it don't have any um resources for Afrikaans at the moment. If anybody knows of any, please let me know. I really appreciate that. For September, we're gonna be doing Croatian. So the nice thing for this quarter at least, is that I've done a little bit of Norwegian, and I think I did like a week of Croatian. I feel like I spent longer than that, but I started listening through the Croatian podcast, and I started going through it on drops. So that's nice. It's not going to be a completely new language. I do like it. I do find it fun. Um yeah, sorry. I was trying to remember if there was a word for kikiriki. I think that's what it is. I think the word, if I'm not mistaken, for peanut in Croatian is kikiriki, and that is one of my favorite words in the whole wide world. It's just so cute. Same like one of my other favorite words in the whole wide world is the Brazilian Portuguese word for mushroom, which is cogumelo. It just sounds so cute. You cannot tell me it's not cute. It just is. Don't try to convince me otherwise. I know it's cute. I know it's cute. So cogumelo. Sorry, I got that word stuck in my head. Anyways, kikuriki and cogumelo are two of my favorite words in the world. Croatian and Portuguese, you have done. You should be proud. Anyways, so yeah, we're gonna go through this, listen through the Let's Learn Croatian podcast. I want to get the complete Croatian textbook. I do like the complete line of textbooks. They're by the Teach Yourself. It's the same company or set where Ollie Richards' short stories in series is from. And I just find most of the stuff that I've kind of looked at through them, I really like the way they're laid out. I find it's a good system, at least for me. So, yeah. The last thing, because 3 languages at a time wasn't enough. Why not just make my life more freaking complicated and add a 4th? Because I hate myself, guys. No, okay, so here's the thing. My sister is currently in Italy right now. I'm dying. She's having the time of her life. I'm so jealous of her. But she's been like wanting to learn Italian, kind of lacking some motivation. I've never really had the motivation to learn Italian, other than the fact that it would be fun for her and I to learn a language together, because she is the only person in person that I know that is actually somewhat studies languages or would be interested. Like, she's been learning Latin in college, and I did Latin, a little bit of Latin in high school, so we bonded over that a bit, but she's, like, definitely the one person that I know in real life that I can, have a language conversation or geek out a little bit more and her not be completely bored out of her mind. So anyways, now that she's been doing her stuff in Italy, she's gone to Italy. This is her second summer in Italy, doing archaeology, doing digs there and stuff like that. And obviously for her, it'd be really great for her to actually learn some Italian. That's where she would like to spend part of her career, in Italy. So we're gonna learn Italian together. So basically at this point, my idea is to really just spend like one day a week. I usually have Wednesdays off. Usually Wednesdays are my day off from work. So, literally like an hour a week. So, and I might I don't when I say an hour a week, there's probably times when we walking to work, being on the app or something, but just in general, maybe like 15 minutes, maybe read a chapter a week of the short stories, and then work through the complete Italian textbook, which I just ordered on Amazon. Should get in a couple days. I'll get it before the semester or this quarter starts. So, yeah. But yeah, nothing too crazy. This is gonna be going on for the rest of the year. Just an hour a week just to say I've done it. So, nothing crazy, no pressure. This is just something fun that I'm doing with my sister, basically, at this point. Again, Italian is never a language I really thought I wanted to learn. It's also going to be complicated because that means for the next 2 months, I'm going to be learning Portuguese, French, and Italian. 3 of the 5 Romance languages. This is a huge mistake. I understand this. I'm going to regret this, but it's okay. My French at least is at an intermediate level, except again because I've been spending so much time in Portuguese, I'm forgetting stuff about French because I haven't really used my French that much in the last since Christmas, since my grandparents were down in Christmas. And I don't use French very much at all. So if I were to go to Quebec for a couple weeks or a month, I should be fine. But right now I don't. I've lost my French. I've been losing my French because I've been learning so much Portuguese. So we'll see. Again, I can understand. It's just speaking. Sorry, I'm blabbering at this point again. It's like almost 1 o'clock now. But yeah, I need to be working on my French. At least they're all different stages. Italian, besides like the 2 days I spent learning it at one point, it's pretty much new. Like I haven't spent that much time at all studying Italian. I pretty much dabbled on it once or twice in Duolingo, a couple different points, and I had like 2 days I studied it at some point last year. Yeah, same time I was studying Croatian last year, right around then, but for like 2 or 3 days. So this is gonna be brand new. Portuguese, I'm at this point where I am speaking it. I can have basic conversations somewhere in like an A2-ish level. And then my French is at a B1. So at least it's not all at the same time song, all completely new. So that will be good. But yeah, that's where we're at, guys. This has been such a long video. This is an hour. Oh my word, you poor people. If you've watched this whole way, you deserve a gold star, like a high five. I don't know. This is a long video. I'm sorry I'm so long-winded, guys. Anyways, I hope it was interesting. Let me know what you guys are doing. Let me change this here now. That's weird. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Let me know what you guys are up to. Sorry my camera's so blurry. At some point I'm really hoping I'm gonna get a new laptop or at least a better camera. And then my quality of videos will be so much better. But yeah. Anyways, have a great night, guys. Take care. Will do a video hopefully in about a month and a half and see how much I failed. How much I failed at keeping up all these stuff. All right. Have a good night, guys. Take care. Bye.